She doesn't start with herself this time. She starts with you. Think about somebody you know who used to be different. Not different like they changed jobs or moved away. Different like something in them shifted. Something behind the eyes. The warmth that used to be there got replaced with something cooler. The laugh that came easy now comes late, if it comes at all. They're still present, still functioning, still showing up to the things they're supposed to show up to. But something is gone. And nobody can quite point to when it left, or name what it was. Only that it was there once, and now it isn't. I want to talk about what does that to a person, because 9 times out of 10, what happened to that person was resentment. And it didn't happen fast. It happened the way water damage happens. Slow, hidden. Until one day the wall just looks different and you realize it's been happening for years. She just continues. Resentment starts small. That's the first thing to understand. It doesn't arrive as this big declared thing. It arrives as a moment that passed without resolution. Something that was done or said or not done or not said that needed to be addressed and wasn't. And instead of being released, it just sat there inside. And then another moment. And another, each one small enough to explain away, small enough to absorb. You fine, you over it, you bigger than that, but you not over it. You just buried it. And unlike most things you bury, resentment don't decompose. It preserves. It stays exactly as fresh and sharp as the day it went in. And all those moments stack. And the weight of them starts pressing on things, starts pressing on how you see the person, starts pressing on how you see yourself for staying, starts pressing on your capacity for generosity, for lightness, for giving people the benefit of the doubt. That capacity gets used up, quietly, without announcement. This is the center of it. Here's what the rewriting actually looks like. A person who was generous starts becoming someone who keeps score. Not because they decided to, because keeping score became the only way to feel safe, to feel like the things they gave actually mattered, to feel like they weren't invisible. A person who was patient starts becoming someone who snaps at things that have nothing to do with what's actually wrong, because the real thing is too loaded to address directly, and so it leaks out sideways onto smaller things. Onto people who don't deserve it, onto moments that didn't earn it. A person who was open starts going quiet, starts moving their real self further and further back from the front of the room. Because the last few times they brought their real self forward, something happened. Something took from it. And eventually the self learns, stay back. It's safer back here. And the person watching all this from the outside thinks, they changed. They got hard. They got distant. They're not who they used to be. And they're right. But the change didn't come from nowhere. The change came from something that was allowed to accumulate instead of being addressed. And now it's part of them. It's in the walls. She leans forward. The particular cruelty of resentment is that it punishes everyone. Not just the person who caused it, everyone. The partner who came later and has no idea what happened before them. The children who grew up in the atmosphere of it without a name for what they were breathing. The friends who keep getting a version of this person that is smaller and more guarded than the one they first knew. The person themselves, who lost something they might not even be able to describe. Some ease, some lightness, some ability to just be in a moment without the weight of everything unresolved pressing down. All of them affected, none of them the original source. And the original source, the moment or the person or the pattern that started all of this, they might not even know, might have moved on completely, might be living their life unbothered, while the residue of what they did just quietly keeps reshaping somebody else. That's the cruelty of it. The person who caused the wound often pays nothing. The person carrying it pays every day. I want to say something here that might be hard to hear. Resentment that stays too long stops being about the other person. At a certain point, and I'm not saying this to be harsh, I'm saying this because I've lived it. At a certain point, it becomes a choice. Not a conscious one, not a simple one, but a choice. Because the alternative to carrying it is putting it down. And putting it down means forgiving something that maybe doesn't deserve forgiveness. Or admitting that you stayed somewhere longer than you should have. Or grieving the version of your life that could have existed if this thing hadn't happened. Or just sitting in the unfairness of it, the sheer unfairness, and deciding to keep living anyway. That is hard work. That is some of the hardest work a person can do. But the cost of not doing it is your personality, is the slow replacement of who you actually are with a person shaped entirely by what was done to you. And you are more than what was done to you. You always were. So if you recognize yourself in any of this, not the person who changed, yourself. If somewhere in this you felt something shift, some recognition, some uncomfortable knowing, that's worth sitting with. Not because you owe anybody a quick resolution. Not because forgiveness has a deadline, but because the personality you started with, the generous one, the open one, the one that laughed easy, that person is still in there somewhere, buried maybe, pressed down under years of things that didn't get said and didn't get resolved, but still in there, and they deserve to come back. She says nothing else, just holds it, then looks away.